Hello YouTube, this is an alcohol review of Agitator Kentucky Straight Bourbon. Right there. According to the label, finished in red wine barrels. Finished. It's had me confused there for a bit. This is bold and complex for distinct unique flavors. Red wine, why not? 750ml bottle. Promoting being rebellious. 86 proof. 400. That's a lot. 43% alcohol by volume, not 400. 43. 86 proof. There we go. On the back, it just talks about breaking the mold and whatnot. Go to agitatorwines.com. Thought that was odd. Agitator wines. I've seen many different ways to flavor or try to stand out the bourbons and your whiskeys than whoever else and whatnot. But what it said here about finished in red wine barrels, to be a proper bourbon, one of the rules is it needs to spend 2 years in brand new white oak charred barrels. Well, it says here finished in red wine barrels. Like, this could be a whiskey, but it cannot be a bourbon. Well, it turns out it is a bourbon, and that the last 2 years, it's 4 years total that they aged it, if I understand right. I could be wrong, so don't be surprised. But for the last two, it says 2 on white, 2 sitting on top of red wine barrels. The funny part is the red wine barrels are Cabernet Sauvignon barrels. So, why is this funny? Turns out this Agitator company makes wine. The primary wines, their gimmick, their thing is that they age 6 months on the bourbon bourbon barrels. Yes, giving their wine a bit more of a complex flavor. So you see this kind of a switch, a roux with different barrels. So I'm kind of curious about the wine now. But this is not a wine tasting. This is a bourbon tasting. So it is finished red wine barrels. And it's kind of funny. It's done in Kentucky, but it's shipped all the way to California. There we are. Plastic with wood. Interesting. Today we are using a wood hat whiskey glass. In case you're curious, always support your local. Are they local? No, we went out of our way and saw this guy and went to it, but support your local nonetheless. Another reason why I'm using this glass is, well, I still have not replaced my poor departed Glencairn, and the Canadian is looking grungier and grungier. The Canadian is starting to look American, so we will now use other means of drinking. It is darker than a standard bourbon in the brown and red hues. It looks muddy. It itself is not muddy. I believe it's just simply the fact that it's a bit of a chill out here at the time of the taping, so that might be it. Think of it. That's what it looks like. It looks like tea on this side of it. Hopefully on yours as well. But it looks kind of like tea. Give this a swirl. Notice it has a nice taper to it. Not quite as good as the Glencairn, but it should help. I smell very little bourbon in it. It smells like watered down berry juice, like a cran, blueberry, maybe a cran cherry, with too much ice in it that's melted. It has a similar off color. Now, according to the bottle, it has wine, oak barrels, tasting notes, dark berry, espresso, and chocolate. Well, the espresso and the chocolate are not too far apart from each other, so that's an easy given. But the berry part makes it kind of dark berry, makes it sort of stand out. But because it's in wine barrels, that explains the berry. And you don't normally get a berry in bourbons and whiskeys. You get a stone fruit, such as apricot. That's heavy on my palate through countless different bourbons I've tried, is apricot. And this smells just like berry juice that's been too much ice, watered down, and now we're at room temperature. Has the same faint look to it. Yeah, a little a hinty wine to it, but that's about all. All right, let's just move on from this oddness of whiskey smelling like berry. Better. Now, this is one of the things that they obviously are not going to tell you on the website or on the bottle. But when I first popped this puppy open, just to give it a sneak try, man, it was like swallowing razor blades that you heated in a kiln. Just hot and stabby and cutty, and just whew. I've only had one or two other bourbons like that. It's not a gentle experience. 43% alcohol by volume, 86 proof, explains that level of agitation to one's tongue. So, yeah. But once you get it to breathe, it starts to lose all of its bite. It starts to lose all of its flame. And apparently that much head in the bottle defangs it quite nicely. I was thinking about trying this with ice, because ice is very good at tempering down those fiery and stabby notes. The flip side, because there's always a consequence. Remember that, everyone. There's always a consequence for one thing to do something else. And the consequence of adding ice to something like this is that it takes all the subtleties and just muddies them out. And if you got something that's coming with lots of layers to it, yeah, you're saving yourself from being, stabbed and burned to death. But you're losing the finites, the bits that are just gives it the extra characteristic past that. This guy, let it breathe. You don't have to worry about the ice. It tastes like berry. It tastes as it is. Cabernet Sauvignon that has been added to it. Like they made the whiskey and then they just took we'll add a cup to every gallon. We'll just add a cup of this old wine that we have laying around here. We'll see what happens. It tastes along that line. Now, obviously, this was done on purpose, and they got themselves a decent product. So, my example is with sarcasm, but it does have that light whiskey to it, very light. You can't really get the whiskey notes coming out. Usually there's vanilla and, like I said, stone fruit and these other flavors. In this case, you get a very light whiskey that is hard to divide up, that's being met nose to nose with wine. Mainly dark berry, subtle hints of chocolate, which means subtle hints of that espresso. So they are correct on the bottle. This is what you get. But you really, I mean, for something unique and different and not offensive to the tongue, like I said, let it breathe. She won't bite you. So if you want something totally, I don't want to say totally off the wall, but within reason to try, this is a good one. This is really a good one. Agitator Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey in red wine barrels. But no, you're not going to get a lot of whiskey out of it. There's some, it's hidden in there, but you're looking for the wine, you're not getting a whole lot of wine out of it either. Just as it says, as the Brits say, on the tin, just as it says on the label, you're going to get a dark berry, chocolate notes, all the kind of watery in with whiskey-esque, light whiskey type background. And like I said, not enough whiskey for you to go, oh, yes, I taste the stone fruit in it. No. It's all being hit on the nose with the red wine. Is this a bad thing? Actually, no. It is not a bad thing. Is this going to be taking place on my shelf of, my God, this is top 10? No. Top 5? Well, should be that in reverse. Top 5? No. Top 10? No. It is an interesting, experimental type of drink, whiskey. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? I myself think it's a good thing. I love trying new and different, even though I doubt if I'll ever be trying this again. If I do, it'll be because I'm heading over to some party and I'm like, you guys are whiskey connoisseurs or bourbon connoisseurs or whatever. You gotta try this. See how this floats your boat. Don't expect people to go, my God, this is the greatest I've ever had. Expect them to, for their eyes to open up and go, that is fascinating. That's not bad. I don't think I'll have it on my shelf, but that's not bad. And go for it that way. Not much else I see about that. It is a great different. Now there's enough body on this that you can push it through, fall and spring. Summer. Screw that. It's all summer. The body's way too light for wintertime. It's got a medium hang time. So it stays under your tongue for, a normal amount of time. Which makes it all the more an interesting experiment. So if you want something totally different, without it being totally different, try this stuff. Agitator, finished in red wine barrels. Out of Kentucky and California, uniting the world, uniting the empire. And yeah, give it a try. If you're looking for something totally, if you're looking for something stable or you're a standby or just something off from your standby, no. This is one of those ones where you gather your good buddies, a birthday for just your hardcore core. And you start putting out glasses and say, who is this? Is this Jim Beam? Is this Jack? Is this Buffalo Trace? Name that bourbon and then put this in there. and see how they fare. But any comments about this down below be warmly accepted as always, or better yet, go out, buy it, try it, and do a video of you on the YouTube spirits community and let us know what your thoughts are on Agitator. I could just be flapping my gums, and you guys may think this is the greatest or the worst thing in the world. I'll be interested to hear what you have to say. I say it's a great off to the left. Not too bad, not too great, but something to try, something to say, maybe, and see what happens from there. And something to bet your friends on. Hey, identify this. Who do you think this is? Because you're pretty much guaranteed they're not going to know. There's so much red wine in there. They may not even identify it as bourbon, let alone who. But that's just me going on a tangent yet again. Well, until next time, keep on drinking.